What up? We are back with some more videos. You guys enjoyed that little first one? That was me learning how to do some shit. So, you guys enjoy them. Still ain't figured out which one I want to do yet. Thinking, well, I want to do the one that hashtag Love Game was doing. So let's go back then. It was Overall Origins. Alright, yeah, we'll go here. We'll start there. Let's do that. Get this video up here. Alright. Hang on. Still new with this, guys. Still new with this. I love my two viewers. Appreciate the fuck out of every one of you guys. Come on in. Let's get in this video.
Cathedrals, right? We all want to know who had the knowledge before we were all born. We want to know why we're being told that they were built with hammers and chisels. Today, I think we take a step closer to finding out where this incredible knowledge of construction truly came from, where we are all aware of the massive continent that was completely left out of our mainstream textbooks, the land of Mu. So let's go even deeper. When we go back to this article from the Courier Journal from 1925, nearly 100 years ago, where it reads, according to the records from Colonel Churchward and the East Indian High Priest, the records state that some people were brought by flying machines to India from the land of Mu in the Pacific Ocean. The records say that Mu was the motherland of man. In Mu was the Garden of Eden, where they had cities, where they learned to build palaces of marble. They acquired the skill to quarry gigantic blocks of stone and to transport them long distances and to carve them into human faces. Like we saw in episode 60 in Easter Island, where the records say that the people of Mu navigated the air and had ships where they sailed to far distant lands with rich cargo. And now that we know all of this, I want to show a few things. First of all, this is showing that the technology of flight has been here before, where the Wright brothers story, creating the first plane in the 1800s, would be a massive lie, where they have this information stored and giving it back to us slowly, as we have discussed. Secondly, they mention in the tablets that the land of Mu was in the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean has been named the Pacific Ocean for 13,000 years? Or was the land of Mu here much closer to our timeline? Or is there more land? Not the entire continent, obviously, but are there other lands, possibly bigger than Easter Island and possibly bigger than Hawaii, left over from that cataclysmic event that are still here today and simply hidden from our maps and our flight paths, where our current day planes could simply just be flying around that area, where these hidden
Touched on a crucial point right there. And hashtag, I didn't know that this actually had Mu in it, but I mean it does continue over. My boy hashtag Love Gang, he'll be following the actual story on Mu later tonight. You guys tune in 12 o'clock for that. I might, even if I'm up, I might be up on there after this video. Shit, I might be the expert on this Mu. No, I'm joking. No expert. I'm just a pothead Ronnie. All right, we're gonna get back into this while I roll up this joint. Everybody, if you're coming in, make sure you hit that like button. Show me some love. Show my boy the lunch break some love on YouTube. These are his videos. I did not make these. I'm just promoting them. He's a real good guy. So show some love on his name, y'all. I love.
Islands could be hidden knowledge where our flight paths are just circling it. The Garden of Eden, The place where humans had cities, where they learned to build palaces of marble, and learning all of the construction skills that we are all asking questions about worldwide today. We are all wondering who built these cathedrals. We all know at this point that the horse and wagon community did not hire Donkeys Incorporated in the 17 and 1800s to chisel away at some stone and marble and knock out the Cologne Cathedral. We know this. We know.
Just gotta say, Shrek, where's your donkey?
And we do today. And their work just lasts forever, and ours doesn't. It's not about effort. There's knowledge involved here, and we are just getting started today. Welcome to episode 61 of My Lunch Break. I hope you're all having a great day, and if you're new, welcome.
My love, Bri.
And I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com. You can check out his app. I'll put the link in the description, and you can use my referral code, MLB. He also has My Lunch Break on the homeschool section of the app, which is really cool. Thank you to Rebecca Kay, Don Gaston, Christopher Arietta, the lady in England. We are told was constructed by the people of the 1100s, 900 years ago. And of course, the narrative holds a major fire. In the year of 1088, because the narrative knows all about the year 1088, and this is fully documented, of course. No. The interior ceiling of the Gloucester Cathedral is incredible. And I am at the point where I believe that this knowledge to construct this way, architecture that doesn't fit into our mainstream history at all, of primitive people, that this knowledge to construct.
Look at the fucking intricacy on that fucking cathedral ceiling and walls. Look at that. Compared to like our fucking structures today, our structures today ain't shit, everyone. I'm gonna tell you that right now, okay? Like lost art or not, I don't think we have anything that can match that. I don't think we know how to even fucking match that. The intricacy of that fucking cathedral is just tremendous. Okay, tremendous. Let's get back in this video. Yeah, it's crazy, ain't it, Brian? All right, back to our video.
Construct this way. Architecture that doesn't fit into our mainstream history at all, of primitive people in huts, no power tools, and zero background on their training processes all over the world. This incredible architecture and construction in every single continent may have come from this continent of Mu, where they seem to have had communication with a higher power, where we are told that this is the Garden of Eden. And it shows through the construction. We have the physical evidence that they were able to construct the massive stone heads at Easter Island. And then we have this, Nan Madol, located on an island called Micronesia, a location that is connected to the land of Mu, connected to Hawaii, and connected to Easter Island, also located in the Pacific Ocean, a once great city of man-made stone islands. The construction of the artificial islets probably started 1,300 years ago, probably. Maybe. When in reality, in my opinion, it wasn't 1,300 years ago and was much closer to our current timeline, where they go on to say that this was built at the exact same time as the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, where they just eyeballed it, gave it a solid, educated guess. The experts really nailed these dates, where the 12th to the 13th century seems like the winner. So it's very clear that these dates are attempts to fit this place right into their timeline of thousands of years. And what is with these maps? Throwing a layer of static right over the top of this location with a perfect 90-degree angle. It's interesting to say the least. Nan Madol has confused the mainstream narrative, and they simply don't understand how to fit this place in, where this location holds construction of megalithic architecture, where the so-called experts cannot explain it, where they say little can be verified about the megalithic construction, where we already know at this point that this land was connected to the continent of Mu, where they were given the knowledge to build palaces of marble. They learned to quarry gigantic blocks of stone and learned how to transport them long distances, and also learned how to carve stone, where we are told that they built huge stone buildings. And then they show us these depictions of it in the mainstream history, like it was actually constructed in the water, like this. When we know that it was built on land, built on the continent of Mu. It wasn't originally in the water like this. In legend, we are told that the builders lifted the huge stones with the aid of a flying dragon. So we definitely have something very interesting going on here in the Pacific Ocean, where Colonel Churchward claimed that the civilization of Mu was technologically more advanced than we are today. And is this not exactly what we're saying today? A civilization that was here before us, that we are not being told about.
You guys following this? Okay. He claimed Mu was the site of the Garden of Eden. Okay.
In our mainstream history classes, that was much more advanced, with so much more technology than we have today, where we are being given all of this technology back slowly after 1776, where Columbus didn't discover anything and was a fictional character, in my opinion, when the previous civilization before us didn't know of less land than we do today. Instead, they knew about more land than we do today. It's the complete opposite, where Churchward goes on to say that this advanced civilization, this group in Mu, was known as the Nacals. The dates and the years are all over the place, and it's the one thing that's impossible to translate. This is in my opinion, but this is because the year 2024 is not really the true year. I think the calendar that we use today is fabricated to completely confuse us, and the further you get away from the creation date, the further you get away from the creator. I'm not entirely sure which year we are really in, and this is why it's impossible for James Churchward to know how long ago the continent.
I want to stop here and put lights to this. What he's referring to is there's actually supposed to be 13 calendar months. Okay, 28 days per month. Do the math. Okay, and also in reference, March is the beginning of the year, not January and February.
And then the Mu was really here. I don't believe it was thousands of years ago, like I've said before. He also goes on to say the ancient civilizations of India, which would explain why these tablets would be in an Indian temple. Babylon, Persia, Egypt, and the Mayans were built by the people of Mu. And if there was one place in the world that would be hidden from our maps today, one specific location that holds all of this technology, flying crafts, marble structures, everything, who's to say that the group of people that found this location or the remains that were at this location and are in control today, who's to say that this group wouldn't hide this location that is the stem of all information from all of us? Is it just a coincidence that the Pacific Ocean is basically empty on our map that we are shown? And don't forget that being in control of the map is a key part of the game. What if we are playing the game with a false map? Is it possible that a part of this incredible land of Mu is still here? Is it possible that the Garden of Eden is hidden to us? Is this why we have no idea where we are or what we're doing here or why we're finding massive structures that make no sense in our timeline? Hiding massive continents, hiding technology, giving us a false history, giving us a false map. Is this why we are distracted with Egypt, where they tell us to look to Egypt and the pyramids, while the real location is over in the Pacific Ocean, where Churchward claimed that the ancient Egyptian sun god Ra originated with the Mu, where Ra was the word which the Nacals used for sun, as well as for their god and rulers. Now, again, this is all information that we can hold on to for the future while we go further into this research. Finding a continent that's conveniently no longer on our map, where they were able to construct massive structures, had incredible technology, and would explain the pyramids in Egypt, is something that I cannot keep to myself.
Are you guys looking at this huge underwater structure? And they say that they can't find Atlantis or blah, 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 blah. Are you seeing this? Okay.
Churchward had two major critics, and neither of them actually ever read the tablets that Churchward did at the Indian Temple, where we have Curtis Wilgus, a historian who taught at George Washington University, where he organized and directed the Center for Latin American Affairs and also organized the school's annual Caribbean conferences. So this guy was locked in and knew all about these tablets, where the Caribbean conference organizer guy tells everybody that Churchward's research was the strangest of fiction. It was pure imagination, based on everything that he learned over at the annual Caribbean conferences. And that's exactly how Curtis aced his college exams, by asking 0 questions and receiving 3 mainstream college history degrees, 3 of them. So we have a very open-minded individual in Curtis. Now, who is this other critic? Engineer and writer L. Sprague de Camp, where he simply dismissed the idea of the Nacal in an article in 1946. Just dismissed it. De Camp spent 10 years attending Snyder School in North Carolina, in a military-style institution where his parents were heavy-handed disciplinarians to cure him of intellectual arrogance. All right. So we have 2 critics that spent their entire life being told what to think, and they were very good at it. And those were Churchward's critics, people that were never there, people that never spent the time in India at the temple and had 0 proof that Churchward was incorrect. By simply just saying that Churchward's work is insane or mythical does not prove anything. It proves that their minds are so manipulated to the point that they can't ask any questions and can't let go of the lies that they've been told. By admitting that Churchward's work is a possibility, it would mean that these 2 individuals would have to agree that all of their time spent learning one way of thinking and feeling like they knew more than everybody else about human history, everything that they thought was the truth, may have been a waste of time. And for some people, this is extremely difficult, and I can't fully blame them. But at the same time, they need to start asking some questions, and not towards us. We owe them nothing. We've taken a total of $0 from them. We are simply asking questions about our past. These questions should be directed towards the people, the institutions that have taken thousands of dollars from them. We are simply trying to find the truth at all costs. If a massive continent of Mu is truly out there, or even parts of it, hidden within the information that is provided, a place with marble structures and hidden technology, a hidden past, and possibly an explanation as to why these massive structures all over the world, in all of our cities, and possibly the location of the Garden of Eden. I want to know about it. Now that we know that there are basically 0 critics of James Churchward's work, and we have records from 1925 that James Churchward learned more than just hidden history. He also learned, in my opinion, hidden technology from the previous civilization, where James Churchward owned over 100 patents. Now, I want to go even deeper. James was a soldier. He was stationed in India, where he became close friends with an elderly monk from a nearby temple, where these documents were in a secret archive in the temple. The priest or monk taught Churchward the language called Nacal, by which the tablets were written. And we know that according to Churchward's work, these were the people that lived in the continent of Mu. And the part that I find interesting is that the location of where James was stationed, the location of where this temple is located, is wiped out from our database. The fact that we cannot look up where he was based, hiding his location as colonel, proves to me that they want this information gone and hidden. As if the British government doesn't know or has lost the records of where they stationed one of their soldiers. He was stationed in India for decades, and this location of this temple is now hidden from us. Finding a continent in the middle of the Pacific Ocean was not a part of the plan. I believe that James Churchward messed up the mainstream narrative when he spoke to that elder. Having an advanced civilization that was here before us does not at all fit into the narrative that we created the first plane, the first train, the first car, the first phone, TV, the light bulb, and the rest, all in the 1800s. It would make sense that all of our worldwide technological information would all stem from the Garden of Eden, or in other words, the beginning place, a branch off.
Wait, I'll go right back to it. Are you guys seeing this top bigger up here if you can see my fucking cursor up there. That is a fucking helicopter, and that is a fucking tank right there. And that is a fucking airplane from the side view. That is a jet. Okay? What the fuck?
That all of our worldwide technology.
Look at this. As it got bigger. That top left, that's a helicopter. You see the fucking blades, the tail, even the fucking door. All right? The one right across from it, that is a fucking tank. And then the one below the tank is a fucking jet, because you can see the fucking tail just like the helicopter right here. And the wing to the side. V, you seeing this, right? Look, that top left is a helicopter. The one directly
like
across to the right.
One looks like a fucking a blimp. Yeah.
I think the one looks like a fucking tank. And the one looks like a fucking, if you look, it looks like an airplane facing the same way as a helicopter with the tail, you know what I'm saying, at the back of it.
Yeah.
And this would be like the wing right here. Looks like a fucking, here's the nose, here's the cockpit. The fuck? The tank's turret's pointing towards the helicopter. As you see clearly right up here at the top. That's the blade. And then here's the fucking front of it. Onto the tip. Wow.
Yeah, I've always looked at hieroglyphs and always thought, like, there's no way they knew about these things prior to them being here.
No way. No way. All right, we're going to roll it.
Information would all stem from the Garden of Eden, or in other words, the beginning place, a branch off to Egypt, India, Mexico, Asia, and the rest of the world. Having an advanced civilization that was here before us does not fit into the narrative that today we have the best construction processes. And it honestly disproves the evolution theory. It shows that we are not evolving and advancing. We are simply growing as we are allowed to grow. We are as advanced as we are allowed to be. And this is what James Churchward proved. And before we share this final article for today, the article that was written about James Churchward by his peers after he passed away, I want to make sure that we say thank you to all of our badge members, all of our Patreons, and every single subscriber. You are all awesome in helping this channel grow to more and more people every single week. And this is when this article clears up a lot for us. When James did not go to India with the intentions of learning any of this information. He was stationed in India and was in charge of the old priest. James was in charge of the priest. This was his role. This priest was one of the three most highly learned priests of India. Secretly stored in the archives of the temple were hundreds of clay tablets. The old rishi or priest became highly attached to James Churchward and taught him the key to the ancient alphabet. So this priest or rishi taught James this information and then showed him secret tablets. And then we actually have these massive heads at Easter Island. We actually have the structures at Nan Madol. We have physical proof that backs the narrative up. You can physically go there and see it for yourself. So the location of this temple in India, where James was based for years, is wiped out from our knowledge. But we all know that if there is a temple out there in India with hundreds of hidden tablets that hold incredible knowledge, then there most likely is more than one. Who else has hidden knowledge that holds our true history, just waiting for us all to find it?
Whoa. What'd you think of that? Oh, you muted. You muted, D. Oh. Nan Madol. That's It's definitely a good one.
That's nuts, bro. It feeds right into what we've been saying this whole fucking time.
Yeah. Like, I believe this shit like fucking... I been believe some of these structures are fucking way older than what the fuck they say, because we cannot recreate them. That's red flag to me.
Yep.
Did you see the cathedral that I showed?
Mm-hmm.
They can't recreate that.
Bro, we've been going through resets a lot.
Right.
Like, what the fuck do you think the Earth is doing? It's trying to renew itself.
It's trying to fucking shed us fucking fleas off right now.
Yeah.
We're starting to become fucking worrisome fucking fleas.
We're the problem.
Well, there's one. Look. Barbarians and airships.
I think those giant ass rock formations that they tell us are rocks and mountains and shit are actually those giant ass fucking trees like in Avatar.
They are.
Empower your students at every stage of the writing process with Grammarly's generative AI.
I don't want to. Oh.
Right, I don't want to either. But like, I feel that too. Like what you were just saying. Like I believe those were fucking, because our in order for even scientists, okay, for the size a dinosaur is, okay, there's no fucking way that all these little ass fucking trees and shit had enough oxygen content to fucking support their big asses. Okay.
Dinosaurs are not real. They are dragons. Because now they're discovering that T-Rexes had fucking wings.
We just talked about that on my earlier live.
Did you?
I just said that.
Yeah, I missed some shit. I needed a nap.
Oh, yep, sure. I touched straight on that keynote. I was like, well, what if fucking they misinterpret it?
We have been lied to all our lives.
Right. History. His story. His story.
Yep, it's his version of the events. Doesn't mean it's actually what happened.
It's a guesstimation, okay? That's what it is. A good guesstimation.
It's someone's perspective of something that happened. Just like the Bible. Okay? The Bible we use now.
Yeah.
So
missing books.
Yep.
Okay, missing books.
Because of the Catholic Church. It didn't fit into their shit, so they didn't want it out there.
In other religions, we've touched on that the Ethiopian Bible is the most accurate Bible there is. Okay.
If the Bible doesn't teach you
is the most accurate.
If the Bible doesn't teach you how to be spiritually connected with the fucking main source, it ain't right.
I'm telling you, like the Ethiopians' fucking calendar has 13 months, 28 fucking days.
That's the way it should be.
March being the beginning of the fucking year.
Yep.
Okay. That should tell you something.
New life, new growth. It means it's the new year.
Bingo. Not fucking middle of the fucking winter.
No, because winter signifies death of the prior year.
Mm.
It's a reset basically for plants and shit.
All right. So this one here is a narrative. Artificial intelligence exposes our history.
Yeah.
Of what we have been told is the truth versus what is really going on in front of our faces. Now, I have been seeing a few people across multiple platforms that haven't really looked into this topic, that are saying that just because we have done this before and can see the buildings here in front of us, this automatically means that we are able to construct these buildings today if we wanted to, even though we never do and never will. We have all the tools and make mistakes all the time. Our buildings and bridges fall apart after 100 years, but the ones from the 1800s and much longer before that were built with perfection and not one flaw, thrown together in less than a year, without blinking an eye. It was simple, perfect stonework, never a mistake. Remember, in 2023, we use actual construction companies. We have the tools, not slaves, not prisoners, not horses and wagons. We are supposed to be so much better than the people of the 1800s. This is what they tell us. This is the mainstream narrative. Evolution, of course. But we have proven time and time again that the people from the 1800s built Capitol buildings over and over and over in less than a year. Basilicas, cathedrals, all over the world. They get burned to the ground by a fire. And then a few short months later, the old one is all cleaned up and a new one is there forever. They could knock out entire towns in a few months, entire world's fairs. They supposedly were able to build these buildings so fast, so well, with untrained workers, people that have never constructed anything before, prisoners, people that went to jail for any reason at all. They could all build cathedrals in every country, in every town, in every century, except for this one that we're in today. They built so many of them and so fast that they could just afford to knock them all down when they were done. This is what we're told, of course. In my opinion, none of this happened. In my opinion, these buildings are from the previous civilization, and our entire history timeline is a complete fabrication. And this is proven time and time again. And the fire story gives it all away, every time. Let's expose the lies even further. Welcome to episode 41 of My Lunch Break. I hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new, welcome.
Hey, I just want to pause it right there because I'm so high and I still got the question. I really wonder if he's on his lunch break when he does it because they're usually like no longer than 30 minutes. Less than that, 23. I had to put that in there. All right, let's go.
Do you want to know the secrets behind how
the
smart money moves
YouTube.
markets? Because after I figured this out, it allowed me to quit my job, travel the
Tartaria.
And I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com.
I'm
You
gonna
can
go
check out his
back on
app.
that too, 'cause
I'll put the link in the description, and you can use my referral code.
I want them to see that
Yeah.
where he was saying that Tartaria was. All right.
And I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com. You can check out his app. I'll put the link in the description, and you can use my referral code, MLB. The app is awesome. It shows a lot of videos that are really hard to find. They've got them all in great playlists. He also has My Lunch Break on the homeschool section of the app, which is really cool. Thank you for that. Thank you to Rebecca Kay, Don Gaston, Jason Brunson, Maddie Kevs, Christopher Arietta, Millicent, The Lady Lacey Show, Edwin Johnson, Home Guard Goes Hard, David and Sherry Ferguson, and Nazir apart after 100 years. But the ones from the 1800s and much longer before that were built. Even need on-site housing for the workers, which they don't have. Courthouse was completed on April of 1896. The contract was awarded in June of 1894. Texas. More specifically, 414 St. Joseph Street, Gonzales, Texas. And why are we here? Well, they have the Gonzales County Courthouse. And in my opinion, the narrative is lying. Are we all ready? Here we go. The contract was awarded to Furman Morin on June 26, 1894. But wait, there's something weird going on here. We're told that this wasn't the first courthouse on this site. This is the second building to serve as the county courthouse. Well, what do you mean this wasn't the first one? What happened to the first one? The first Gonzales County Courthouse burned down on December 3rd, 1893. Do you notice how fast they tried to throw that in there? It was like they thought we wouldn't notice or something. Of course we will. This is what we do. Look at how they worded it, too. They didn't even say the first building or the first courthouse. They just quickly say the first burned on December 3rd, 1893. And they just want to move on like nothing happened. So we get the nod. Another fire story. Very interesting. And also the clear giveaway that this is a building from the past civilization. In my opinion, and a reminder that there was never a fire here on this site. This is simply a nod to their group that this building is from the old world. Now, let's continue shredding this nonsense apart. We are told that the second county courthouse was completed on April of 1896. The contract was awarded in June of 1894. They get their superintendent for the construction in 1895. And then in April of 1896, the building is done. And this all happens in basically 2 years after the first one burned down. And it's weird because it takes almost as much time to find the superintendent as it does to actually build the entire building. And it lasts forever. So let's get this straight. They're telling us that December 1893, the first one is in flames, and we have no idea who built that one or anything about it. And don't ask any questions about that one. And then 6 months later, it's gone and all cleaned up by June of 1894. And the contract is ready to roll. And from June 1894, we wait until some point in time in 1895, so at least 6 months, but could have been 18 months. Since they don't share the information, we have to speculate. So let's meet in the middle at 12 months to find a construction guy. And then he knocks this thing out somehow by April of 1896. Who believes that he did this in less than a year? How many people worked for him? It's just weird that they tell us that he was just an owner of a quarry that had limestone in it. Now all of a sudden, he is a construction superintendent guy that builds math.
Why? Wait.
So before we get into that, you notice how they have to word it correctly, right? In order to get it past us. Do you remember me saying how they said that this assassination on Trump was going to be the first attempt? They didn't say the assassination. They said the first assassination attempt.
Yeah. Yeah, they worded it right there for you.
Pay attention, people. They have to tell us before they do it. All right, you can go ahead.
They tell us, but yeah, I'm gonna touch on this. Yeah, see, the numbers don't add up, and like you said, and he said, there's no fucking record of where the first courthouse, when it was built, who built it.
It wasn't even a courthouse to begin with.
It probably wasn't. It was probably a palace.
Probably. Well, it could have been a home, one of those Victorian homes. Like switched over into made into like a fucking courthouse almost, and then they fucking burn it down so that they could build an actual courthouse. Or for all we know, they lit that bitch on fire. There's no record of it because they wanted to get rid of the people there.
Man, them bricks don't burn like that.
Massive courthouse in a year.
Get back to another.
The 1800s were incredible. You could truly be anything you want back then. Amazing. And a total joke of a story. This is absolute insanity.
All right, that is almost like Van Buren County Courthouse. Okay, I've been in there. It's fucking granite, marble, and motherfucking limestone. It ain't gonna burn. All right. I call bullshit.
Right.
That this kind of stuff is what we are supposed to believe actually happened.
And I'm going to pause it again because I've been in the basement too. Ronnie's been a bad boy. I've had to be transported across from the jail next door up through the fucking basement all the way up to the second floor on the elevator. Okay. So I know what the basement looks like. And probation, parole stuff.
We all understand that in order to build a massive courthouse, you would need to get all the materials there. We would need to have a proper amount of construction workers that are properly trained. This quarry owner can't just go build it himself. We would need the proper equipment, incredible architecture. The planning had to be perfect. Using the specs that they give us on this courthouse, I asked ChatGPT a question, and the answer was eye-opening. I asked hypothetically, how long would it take to build a courthouse in 1895? And how many men would you need? I asked if it could give me a breakdown of how much material would be needed. and also include other details that are important in constructing a courthouse that covers 2.7 acres. I explained that it is a building in a Romanesque revival style with eclectic details, meaning it covers other types of architecture designs, and that it will be built with red brick and white limestone trim. Now, these are the specs that we are given from the mainstream narrative. This is what they tell us. They tell us this information because they have to. The thing is literally sitting here looking right at us.
I want to stop it right there. Did you hear what he said? Because they have to tell us. He just fucking hit on that subject just not even 5 minutes ago.
For anyone that wants to go look at it, you can walk right up to it and see it. Or you can see a picture of it as we are right now.
Stop that again. Now that burned down.
It pretty much looks the fucking same.
Don't it?
But there's no way that that would burn down if it was fucking limestone and brick.
And marble inside. I'm guaranteeing it's marble slabs for the fucking floor. Every building I've been in that's around that age has fucking marble slab flooring. And look, the fucking joints in between are fucking copper. Legit.
So let's see what this AI tells us. We are told that constructing a courthouse in 1895 in the specs that they stated would have been a significant undertaking. And here is the breakdown. Just the design and planning would have taken pretty much a year. Just because it's 1895, you still need permits and approvals. This happened in 1895. This isn't cavemen days where you just get to build massive buildings and not tell anyone about it. So the fact that they're ignoring this part of the story over and over is crazy. This would have taken another couple months. So then we move on to the materials. We are told that the amount of red brick needed would depend on the design and size of the courthouse. Courthouses that cover 2.7 acres could use hundreds of thousands to millions of bricks. This is an unbelievable amount of material just for bricks alone. The process in getting these materials to the site is not easy. So then the white limestone trim, 100,000 cubic feet of limestone. The wood for interior elements, including flooring, stairs, and doors. A substantial amount of wood would be required. Then we will need steel and glass, and not just any glass. They have to be perfect for windows in the Romanesque revival style. Now, of course, the best part, in my opinion, because they don't even mention any people that helped this quarry owner guy. The labor, the number of workers needed would vary, but constructing such a massive courthouse might require hundreds of laborers. Hundreds? And not a mention of one in this story? And this isn't even to build it in a year. This is just saying to build it in a respectable timeline. So to build it in a year, there had to be way more than hundreds of workers, like we're told. Amazing. Okay, you would need bricklayers, carpenters, masons. Oh, did I say that? Steelworkers and general laborers. When we are told that slaves and prisoners built these places in a year, just remember this and ask yourself if you think this is true or not. Now we have the construction time. Given the scale and complexity, construction could take several years, perhaps 3 to 5 years. The Romanesque revival style, with its ornate details, would require careful craftsmanship, which takes time. So these workers had to have been trained and been good at it, especially finishing it in a year. This is insane. How are these workers not world-renowned? Wouldn't there be statues of them? They probably could have made the statues themselves in their backyards in a couple of days, since they were so good at it. And now, of course, we have the ridiculous part of the transportation. Transporting materials to the construction site. And before we get into this, I want to mention this, that they don't mention this in the story. And I think they don't on purpose, because it is so insane. Here we go. Transporting materials to the construction site would require horses, wagons, and likely a nearby source of limestone. Okay, so the horses and wagons moved the 100,000 cubic feet of limestone from the quarry. What a joke. Now they will need tools, of course. You can't do this without tools. So here's the tools and equipment section. Tools of the time would include hammers, chisels, saws, cranes, and various other hand tools. Just hammering and chiseling away in 1895 to 1896 with their horses and wagons. The fact that they tell us these buildings go up all over the world in a year is such a lie, in my opinion. You'd need a source of water for mixing mortar and for the workers. If it's a large project, which this one definitely is, you might even need on-site housing for the workers, which they don't have on-site housing for the workers. Have you ever seen a narrative say this? No. They ignore the actual logistics in every narrative. You need people to build these places, and people need things such as housing, food, water. This is common sense, yet never mentioned. Stone carvers and artisans would be required for this work. What was their names? Did the quarry owner do that himself? No. Which company had pro stone carvers and artisans? And of course, supervision. You'd need a skilled supervisor and project managers to ensure the work proceeds smoothly and to quality standards. And this is literally the only part that we are given. The only part we are given is the person that should be watching over all of the things that actually have to happen. I'm going to put this in sports terms. They're basically telling us the name of the coach for the Patriots, and then forgetting to tell us all about Tom Brady, or the coach's name of the Lakers and the Bulls, and not saying anything about Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan, or Dennis Rodman. All we get is Phil Jackson and Frank Vogel. This is insane. This is not working anymore. So I asked it to be more specific with the timeline. I said, so in all, how long would this all take? It responded with this. Given the complexity and scale of constructing a courthouse, covering 2.7 acres in the Romanesque revival style with red brick and white limestone trim in 1895, the entire process could take 1 year to just design and plan it. Another several months to permitting and approvals, several more months to a year for the materials, and 3 to 5 years to build the building. So in total, it mathematically and logistically should take anywhere from 4.5 years to 7.5 years. This is unbelievable, considering so many times we are told that a building goes down in a fire and then another one is built in a few months. This kind of brushing it off with a few months kind of thing isn't working anymore. And I don't want to end the episode yet. I want to go even deeper and even more specific. So I asked, how many horses would they need for this project? And here we go. The horses would be needed for 6 major things in this project in 1895. Transporting, milling and lifting, general labor, site grading and excavation, water and power, cranes and heavy lifting, and getting the cranes there to the site, of course. This would take 20 to 30 horses to finish the project in 4.5 to 7.5 years, not 1 year. So we all understand. They would need way more than 30 horses. And we all understand that horses need water. Remember, this is for 30 horses for possibly 7.5 years. I want to make that point extremely clear. This is not the 1 year timeline that we're told. Now, here we go. Let's absolutely destroy the narrative and end it forever. That any building anywhere in the world, like this one, could not be simply built in a year and just brushed off with zero explanation. How much water would the horses actually need? This is a key point that cannot be ignored, like it is in the mainstream narrative. A typical horse would drink anywhere from 5 to 15 gallons of water per day for a project like this. This is to properly keep the horses hydrated, or they will die, especially in Texas, where it's extremely hot in the summer months. For only 30 horses, you would need 300 gallons of water per day. This is only 10 horses over 7.5 years. Where is all this water coming from? Why is this massive point ignored? The point alone proves that this project did not happen in a year. This is such a horrible slip up for the narrative. And it is the most important part of the logistic project that needs to be taken care of. Without the water supply for the main transportation for the project, none of this happens anywhere in the world in the 1800s. From this point on, a narrative that tells us that they built a building in a year in the 1800s without explaining the massive supply of water for the horses should be looked at as a lie. Incredible. This is a major failure by the narrator, a massive flaw that now opens the floodgates. This narrative is not possible. Did they think that we would never question this? And now we know that this type of construction is not even close to possible. We are waking up to the nonsense. We are educating each other, building a group of people that are not just accepting lies and actually questioning. We are looking into things, and the more we look, the easier it gets, the more answers we find. And the more truth comes through, and the more that we know, the harder and harder it is to lie to us. Once you know the truth, like I always say, you don't go back to not knowing. You are now awake, and you will take this information with you and apply it to the next story, where they will tell you that a building was built in a year by a quarry owner that never built anything before and never again in his entire life.
Sounds to me like somebody wanted to take credit for something they didn't do.
Right.
So they created a story and took credit.
My name is Chris, and when I was 19 years old, I was diagnosed with a pituitary.
All right. Well, we're not listening to you, Chris. Oh. This thing better show me what I want. That's the one I want. Bum, bum, bum. Looking for a certain one. Yeah, we gonna get on this shit too. Figure why not? I'm already stirring up the shit pot, right? That was 10 months ago.
Yeah, we know they let it happen.
We know. We already touched on that too. Holy fuck. Yeah, see, that's what Israel is fucking. That's what the whole war is about right there. Red heifer sacrifice.
So there's going to be peace in the Middle East?
Fuck no, there ain't. That's what they're pissed about. They fucking sacrificed that fucking cow heifer on Temple Mount. Just like it predicts in the Bible. Russia's back in Iran, just like in the Bible. That's what I said. The parts of the Bible man has not fucking corrupted and changed is actually being fulfilled. Listen, look, right here. We're going to play this. This will tell it right here. This will break it down for you.
If you've never cashed a $42,166 paycheck, then I've got good news.
He got good news for us, V.
Did CERN really initiate their Large Hadron Collider, their
Lion
particle
sack of
accelerator,
shit.
on the 5th? Or did they actually accelerate on the 8th? And are they assisting in ushering in the Antichrist, this king demon? Also, will the red heifer sacrifice that will take place in Israel play into all this? We will talk about all this and more in this video. But first, I would like to go ahead and discuss CERN. Now, can anybody truly say, honestly say, they 100% trust this organization or trust this organization at all? Even if you're a skeptic, I know there's something deep down inside of you that is telling you there is something wrong about this organization, that they are not just smashing particles together in order to find other particles and trying to recreate the Big Bang and open up smaller black holes, even though that alone is terrifying. But something else is also taking place inside this organization. So, with that being said, can we also honestly say that we trust?
I want to pause this. Now, you see the shit they're doing, right? Okay. What fucking scientific organization do you know do fucking rituals? Just saying, putting that out there.
Any words that
They're
come
supposed
out
to.
of CERN.
They're supposed to not
Now,
be connected with religion.
Every time they fire that bitch up, they have a ceremony. And the last one, they actually had fucking a dude dressed as in goat, like goat legs and all that shit.
You seen what they had going on at the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
The dude in
Totally
black on the fucking white horse. Not to mention the fucking the portrait that they painted of King Charles.
Yeah, but that's fucking also fucking representation of the fucking four horsemen.
They have to tell us, people.
The original plan to initiate their most powerful accelerator was to take place on April 8th, the day of the solar eclipse. Now, I know some people want to say that they were already active in March, but March was a testing phase. The actual acceleration was to take place on the 8th. They had a spokeswoman from CERN come out and tell us they were actually initiating on the 8th.
Collisions for data taking. So we have already been doing test collisions, but it's the regular running that starts on April the 8th. It just happens to coincide with an astronomical event. So the timing is a pure coincidence.
They had an article on their website where they stated,
think about every fucking witchcraft movie you've ever fucking seen. The eclipse is usually a heightened peak moment
for supernatural shit to happen.
Energy. Yes.
They were accelerating on the 8th. Multiple news and media stated they were accelerating their most powerful particle accelerator on the 8th.
And I also want everybody to keep in the back of their mind that we shot 2 fucking goddamn rockets at the eclipse at the same time they were opening, doing this shit.
With everything ending in an awake facility on April 22nd. Oddly, as coincidence may have it, on the same day as Passover, April 22nd. But for whatever reason, last minute, they decided to move everything to the 5th. The initial firing of the particle accelerator was to take place on the 5th because they were ahead of schedule. And the awake facility, everything ending at this awake facility, was to take place on the 15th of April. But I don't believe the dates had changed at all, given a previous event that took place February 21st, 2024. Now, on February 21st, 2024, and this is coming directly from the CERN's website, CERN had initiated their Large Hadron Collider, their particle accelerator, on that date. Well, what also happened to appear on February 21st as well? Well, let's go back to Ventusky. Let's go back to February 20th as we go into February 21st. So as you can see, we are on the date February 20th. Now let's move on to February 21st. And what do we see? That same exact anomaly in the same exact location on the same exact day that CERN fired their first particle accelerator beam. So let's move on to April 4th, going into April 5th.
This interview left me speechless.
Huh. Getting interesting. Whoa, what's it doing?
February 21st. And what do we see? That same exact anomaly in the same exact location on the same exact day that CERN fired their first particle accelerator beam. So let's move on to April 4th, going into April 5th. So let's go between the dates of the 8th and the 9th. And remember, the 8th is the day that CERN originally had picked to fire off their most powerful particle accelerator to date. And if they did initiate on the 8th, this was seen the very next day. The timing adds up more that this was done on the 8th than it was done on the 5th. On top of everything else, there's that ritualistic sacrifice of Peter Higgs, the man behind the actual God particle that CERN was actually looking for, passed away on the exact same date that they were supposed to anyway initiate the Large Hadron Collider. Now, some are making good points that Peter Higgs did not pass away at all, that he went through the portal or to another dimension. And we do know, based on CERN's own website, they are actually opening up other dimensions. They found 6 other dimensions. Get the numerology. They found 6 other dimensions, and they do plan opening these dimensions up. And when they fire off their particle accelerators, we see what looks like to be this portal. So as I stated in a previous video, are they assisting in ushering in this king demon, this Antichrist? Well, CERN has already stated that they found a spirit or a ghost from another dimension, a 4th dimension. Then we had these fact checkers come out and state that CERN is definitely not opening up any portals. Why? Because it's impossible. Then how do you explain they found a particle from a higher dimension, from another dimension? So how do you explain finding something that's not from our dimension if you're not opening up portals to other dimensions? And this sounds like they had something cross over. So as I stated previously, everything was to end after finding whatever they found. Everything was to end on April 22nd at an Awake facility. Coincidentally, again, falling on another important date, the beginning of Passover. Now, oddly enough, on the same date where this thing opened up in Antarctica, the Muslim world were running articles about the red heifers and how it could possibly start Armageddon or World War III. But first, let's go back to October 7th, because on that date, Israel had what they dubbed their September 11th. There were multiple reasons why this organization hit Israel, but one of the reasons stood out to me, and that was due to the red heifers coming over to this land. These 5 red heifers coming from Texas. Now, the Islamic people from this location know that these red heifers signify that the Israeli people from this location want to rebuild their third temple on the same exact location that the third most holiest site in Islam sits upon. The red heifers are to be sacrificed on a pit of fire on the Mount of Olives, because the Mount of Olives overlooks the supposed third temple. But what does the Mount of Olives overlook? Well, it overlooks the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third most holiest site in Islam. So the Al-Aqsa Mosque has to come down in order for the third temple to be rebuilt. So for the people of Islam, the 5 red heifers are a terrible omen. But for Jewish people, the 5 red heifers are to help rebuild their third temple and usher in their Messiah. Now, going back,
I want to stop that right there, because as I hit on earlier, any fucking hour, any minute, any second, all hell of fucking rockets are about to fucking start flying in on fucking Israel. And any one of those rockets can hit that fucking temple right there.
And our dumbasses have been doing nothing but backing them.
back to April 9th.
Obviously, you heard these. Now, Now, these red heifers, I want to break this down because he doesn't touch down on this, okay? So, these red heifers, they cannot have a fucking one red hair that's fucking tinted too light, too dark. Like, it has to be 100%, okay? And I don't know how long, okay? We talking thousands of years. There has not been a fucking cow that is good enough. Legit.
They've got to be a
But here we have
full red cow. They can't be milked. They can't work, and they can't have babies. So once you reach all of the particulars, and they've got 5 of these motherfuckers.
5, not just one. They happen to have 5.
Shit's about to go down, bro.
We had Al Jazeera release an article. What do Texan?
It just makes you stop and wonder, okay? This cattle disease, remember? This fucking disease that's fucking with these cattle. Was that shit let loose to stop this shit? Just saying, makes you stop and wonder.
Red heifers have to do with the Al-Aqsa Mosque and a Jewish temple. Now, this article from Al Jazeera goes over the history of the third temple, or the temples. The first temple stood from 1000 to 586 BCE, and the second temple from 515 BCE to 70 AD, until the Romans had destroyed the second temple. From that time, 9 red heifers were sacrificed, and the prophecy states that once the 10th heifer is sacrificed, then the third temple can be rebuilt and the Jewish Messiah will be ushered in. So one of these 4 red heifers, because one of the red heifers had a blemish and were disqualified, but apparently one of these 4 red heifers is the 10th heifer. These 4 red cows are being treated very delicately. They are monitored every day to make sure they do not have a blemish. Now, time is of the essence. As time progresses, the colors of these red cows can change. One of their hairs can change. That's why it's very important that the sacrifice happens as soon as possible. The theorized date is that it would take place on April 22nd. Now, nobody knows the exact date that these cows will be sacrificed, but like I said, time is of the essence, and it would make a lot of sense that it would fall on a very important date for the Jewish people. But there is something very important said in this article: sacrifice imminent. There are indications that the temple movement is preparing to sacrifice a red heifer with the support of the Israeli government, according to the Israeli Go-Ir Amim. The Israeli Ministry of Agricultural and Rural Development circumvented protocols when initially seeking permission to import red heifers. Ir Amim noted in a report in August an example of increasing government involvement, as the United States was not a country approved for the import of live animals from at the time. So then Nathaniel Isaac, the Director General of the Ministry of Jerusalem Affairs and Heritage, delivered a speech in honor of the heifer's arrival at Ben Gurion Airport in September 2022, and admitted that the ministry had been funding the development of the Mount of Olives area where the ceremony is planned. So the Islamic people believe that it's not just a radical group of Jewish people that are sacrificing these red heifers and wanting to bring down the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third most holiest site in Islam, but also the Jewish government are funding this as well. They are behind this. It is why we have seen conflicts arise between Iran and Israel since the 13th. And remember, 13 is a very important ritualistic number. But since the 13th, there have been attacks on both sides. It's very suspicious about the timing of this conflict going into Passover and the supposed red heifer sacrifice. Will the Al-Aqsa Mosque fall? Will the Al-Aqsa Mosque see some kind of destruction, like some type of rocket hit it?
Next 48 to the fucking 50 something hours, I guarantee you. Okay, like they Iran's already literally said Okay, they're about to fucking launch thousands of rockets. Okay, thousands of fucking rockets. Russia just gave fucking Iran jammers, signal jammers to block the Iron Dome. And they're saying days of fucking this shit that they're just gonna barrage the fuck out of them. That fucking mound is going down. That temple's going down. I mark my motherfucking words.
If enough people want it to happen, they'll make it happen.
That's why they just went. Israel literally provoked it. Okay, they fucking went over as the dude, their basic prime minister or whatever, the dude that was basically taking over for fucking the president that died supposedly in the helicopter crash.
Talking about Netanyahu or whatever the fuck his name is.
No, Netanyahu, that's fucking dude from fucking Israel. No, whatever his fucking name is. But anyways, so he was basically Hamas fucking head motherfucker, head dude. He was getting ready to indoctrinate the new president of fucking Iran, and Israel using our F-35 flew over there and fucking bombed the building. This is what this attack is coming from. Retribution for that shit.
Fuck around and find out, I guess.
Between Iran and Israel, and both sides will blame
provoked
the
this
other,
to come, and
thereby
I'm telling
taking
you.
credit for the destruction.
I bet you there's nothing gritty in this motherfucking temple.
I didn't understand. I didn't understand why we were giving Israel so much help to fight a battle within themselves.
We've been giving Israel $3.5 billion every year since the Cold War.
Why?
Nobody ever questioned like how the fuck Israel got fucking F-35, our most elite fucking jet. The most literally. You gave them stealth jets. They're literally stealth jets. That's why they're flying. They flew right over fucking Syria with Russia's fucking radars, and they never picked them up. Yeah.
About the timing in all of this, we are seeing major conflict arise around the same time that these heifers, or one of these heifers, have to be sacrificed. These 5 heifers were monitored, heavily monitored, carefully.
And I also want to put out there again, okay, and this is where it gets fucking crazy. Now Ukraine has been bitching so much. We ain't offered to give them no motherfucking F-24s.
But everything we're supplying to these foreign countries, once they're done doing what they're doing, what makes you think they're not going to use those against us?
But my point, but we've been giving them everything else, but Israel has our F-24s.
So they're our allies. I don't give a fuck. I can be your ally if it fucking suits me. Until it doesn't anymore, and then I blow you to fuck up. Use your fucking brain, people.
They got a fucking nuke. We gave them everything we have, E. Everything. We can't even fucking defend from their ass. They literally got the same shit we got.
That's what I'm saying. Why would you do that?
Some shit in the game. Well, let's continue.
Monitored.
Oh, here.
One was
what? We need to what?
We need to stop intervening. And let shit take its course.
Yeah. Because shit's about to get deep.
Qualified. And throughout all this time of them having these red heifers, 4 of them apparently are still in pristine condition. So here's the thing, is not just Jewish people involved in this 2000.
Now I do want to state also that this has already happened. Okay, this is way earlier this year.
1,000-year-old ceremony to sacrifice this red heifer, but a sect of Christians as well, Pentecostal Christians.
All the way to Capitol Hill.
So good to see you here in the nation's capital.
Those sacred cows were showcased in Washington at a recent prayer gathering. Many evangelicals believe these red heifers will usher Christ's second coming.
We need the Messiah to come, right? So for me, the red heifer is red for the blood of Jesus Christ.
Back in the West Bank, Mamo says the ceremony could take place any day.
In a video from January posted on Bonnet Israel's website, Michael Samuel Smith, a Christian preacher working to bring forth the temple prophecy,
and thousands shall worship a false prophet, and thousands will fucking worship a false prophet.
said the red heifers they have been raising in Shiloh have come of sacrificial age. And like I said before, time is of the essence. So even if the sacrifice is not on April 22nd, the sacrifice will happen soon. This is the first time in nearly 2,000 years a successful red heifer has come about, Smith said in the video. It's still our opinion the first successful red heifer sacrifice will take place in the spring of 2024 around the Passover to Pentecostal time frame. We believe God is going to reveal himself through the efforts of this future event. It is truly a sign of the times, most especially for Jews in Israel. Now, I don't know everything about Christianity. I'm not a biblical scholar. I'm not a preacher. But one thing I do know is that the Antichrist is supposed to come before the second coming of Jesus Christ. I don't know how the Pentecost religion works, but other Christians should know that they are assisting in ushering in the Antichrist, because the Antichrist is supposed to desecrate the third temple, or this temple. So is that the ultimate goal of this denomination of Christians? Do they know they are bringing in the Antichrist because they know it will bring forth the second coming of Christ? For many Christians, the man of sin is supposed to walk into the temple after it has been rebuilt and claim himself to be God. This all lines up with CERN, with them ending what they found in an awake facility. Are they waking up this major demon to get it prepared for this ritual? This may also open up a much bigger conflict, because Muslim people have noticed as well. Defending Al-Aqsa is an important mission for Palestinian Muslims, worshippers, and armed fighters alike. This article goes on to state that a speech was made during the 100 days of the Israel-Palestine conflict.
No wonder they're trying to take Palestine out. They don't want it to be guarded. They don't want it to be protected so that they can sacrifice and bring about the fucking false prophet. I need to smoke some more. Go ahead and play.
Now I'm about to take a break and smoke one too. They already did sacrifice. This is old. They already did. They're just needing Temple Mount to be tore down now, and I'm telling you, it's coming within hours. They're not covering that area in the Iron Dome, and any kind of fucking rocket is gonna take that bitch out, or drone, because they're saying they're gonna fucking pound Israel for weeks with fucking rockets. I was showing earlier on fucking on naval warship fucking tracker on my live. I was literally showing a fucking amphibious fucking ship coming across to Saudi Arabia. It was gonna fucking land at fucking Qatar. Okay, they already got them across. Like, them bitches were on the move. So that means they just got to cross Saudi Arabia to fucking get to them.
And how the red heifers sparked a real concern, and it all surrounds the Al-Aqsa Mosque. So we have a group of Muslims that believe that the red heifer sacrifice will happen very soon. We have a group of Christians that believe the red heifer sacrifice will also happen very soon.
I don't want to see
anytime between Passover and Pentecost.
See, this was 3 months
and
ago.
we have the Jewish people saying that no, it will not happen anytime soon. The reason behind that is that as for the red heifer sacrifice, they need recognition of a very wide public and of decision makers and all kinds of important rabbis. If they do it in April, it won't be recognized and all their efforts will be for nothing. But you have to understand, the money spent on these red heifers going over to Israel and being tended for is thousands upon thousands of dollars. Like I said, so far, it seems like these 4 red heifers that are left are in pristine condition. We have not heard that one of them has been disqualified as of yet, and they are now of sacrificial age. We have to remember, April is the month of fire. A lot of events involving fire has taken place in April. Aries is the fire sign. With all this money being spent,
says red heifer sacrifice in Israel. Red heifer sacrifice in Israel. Stupid as hell. I guess I'll just type it.
Apparently, they haven't done it yet.
Yeah, I see this now. Red heifer ceremony in 11 days.
When was that posted?
I just said sponsored.
Because
here's 2 weeks ago. Let's pull this one
As
up.
followers of Jesus Christ, every day puts a new prophecy or an event in front of us that takes us even closer to the belief that there will one day when God is going to bring everyone in front of him. And something similar happened right at the beginning of this year. We all have heard about the red heifer and how it is going to play a crucial role in the fulfillment of some of the events that are going to play a pivotal part in the end of times. And right now, something has just happened regarding the red heifer that has sent a frenzy in the world of Christianity.
Are wondering, is a third temple coming soon? Especially now, with the ongoing conflict, what would the ramifications of a Jewish temple be for the region? Remember, those who are fighting against the existence of the state of Israel see it as the War of Al-Aqsa, which is the place where the temple was located.
Red heifers in the Bible, Numbers 19, 1, 2. Now the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, "This is the statute of the law that the Lord has commanded. Tell the people of Israel to bring you a red heifer without defect, in which there is no blemish, and on which a yoke has never come." God's law delivered to the people of Israel on Mount Sinai included the necessity for perfect red heifers. There are no faults or imperfections. The unyoked, flawless heifers become unkosher once hairs are spotted that are not uniformly red.
You see that? You see that magnifying glass, right? Like, them bitches are fucking legitly fucking just
steady looking.
Need to be perfect. What happens to the red heifers? Their situation does not look good, at least from the perspective of the cows. They're burnt, including the dung. However, their death gives new life. The ashes of the red heifer were required for proper priestly offerings to make amends for sins. And you shall give it to Eleazar the priest, and it shall be taken outside the camp and slaughtered before him. And Eleazar the priest shall take some of its blood with his finger, and sprinkle some of its blood toward the front of the tent of meeting 7.
Fucking commercial.
I'm Millie, a content creator, coach, and business owner. If I had to start my business,
I don't give a fuck. Shut the fuck up, bitch.
Burned in his sight. Its skin, its flesh, and its blood, with its dung, shall be burned. And the priest shall take cedar wood, and hyssop, and scarlet yarn, and throw them into the fire, burning the heifer. This text about the red heifers is still read in temples in the lead up to Passover, since it deals with ritual washing. The chapter of scripture in Numbers 19 deals with this cleansing issue, since those going up to make sacrifices could only do so after being cleansed with water mixed with the ashes of a perfect red heifer. Since the Romans destroyed the temple, this chapter has been read as part of Passover preparations. The ashes of the perfect red heifer go into a vessel with fresh water, and this water of purification cleanses from sin and death.
There's always been a consensus about the Temple Mount being, well, the Mount of the Temple. Yes, the Jewish people will build a third temple. The Bible predicts this temple in Jerusalem will be linked to the rise of the Antichrist, who will appear to bring peace to the Jewish people, but will ultimately betray them.
The sacrifice. What really happens? The red heifer sacrifice is very important in Jewish tradition, especially given the construction of the third temple in Jerusalem. According to Jewish belief, the third temple will function as a place of worship where divine adoration can be practiced once more, symbolizing the restoration of a strong link between God and humanity. The red heifer sacrifice is said to be crucial to the purification ceremonies required for the construction and operation of the third temple. According to Jewish tradition, the ashes of the red heifer are mixed with water
and blah, 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 blah. Okay. Get back to this. Turn. Let's see. This is 6 years ago they were doing this. So 6 years ago they were doing this shit. Okay. Look at the goat, me. Egyptian beetles. The eyes. Trying to get to the most recent one. Oh, Ohio has a portal to hell. Oh, look at this.
Guys, we're doing too fucking much. We need to calm the fuck out.
Straight facts. All right,
I don't
let's get
mean
the fuck
I don't
off
mean
that.
this
I'm
jumping
tired.
in down the rabbit holes. I'm talking about the shit that we're doing that leads us down the rabbit holes because of the dumb shit we see, and then you wonder why we go down the rabbit holes. Y'all doing too much. Stop it.
Man, look, even our fucking football game halftime shows are getting satanic. And nobody sees it.
Bro, I cannot recall a time
It's like
when anybody acted like the devil, portrayed the devil in music videos until like within the last 10 fucking years, 10, 15 years. Like when I was growing
it's
up,
got
it wasn't about any of that.
No. No, it really didn't.
Satanic worshiping does not make you cool, bro.
For real.
And saying you are a churchgoer doesn't do it for me either, because I know better people who don't go to church.
It don't make me cool. Oh.
You follow Jesus and God, not some book that some man wrote that they keep revising. Why do you got to keep revising it? You don't need to bring it into layman's terms. We need to understand those terms.
Fuck, you know how many goddamn fucking versions there are now? I could look it up.
Somebody tried to give me an urban Bible. Where it pretty much just explains everything in the way that we talk today. But you're getting a summed up gist of it. You're not actually understanding what you're reading. Hence why they're no longer teaching cursive in school, so kids in the future can't fucking read the Declaration of Independence. Can't read any ancient handwriting if you don't know how to read it or write it.
It's pretty bad to learn cursive nowadays. Either your family's got to teach you, or you got to take a hieroglyphics class.
The whole school system needs to be torn the fuck down and taken apart and re-fucking built.
It really does.
A satanic temple has set up a display.
Man, I'm trying to get to one certain fucking one.
Man, they got hotter than fuck out.
You may recall.
Because he breaks it down so fucking... Oh, no, here we go. Here we go. We're going to touch on this shit.
Blue Moon, dealing with the extinction. And
We all really open Pandora's box.
Anomalous species in containment, and you released them.
Joe, when I tell you I'd sifted through hundreds of these different encounter stories, dozens of mission documents under Operation Blue Moon, dealing with the extinction and extraction of these anomalous species. These agencies had been hunting them down for generations, bringing them to special containment centers for species preservation. And as I sift through hundreds of these encounter documents, I find the coordinates of an anomalous species containment facility labeled Pandora's Box, which had been holding hundreds of these different anomalous species that had been tracked over the years. And while
And you went to the facility?
Joe, I just needed to see it for myself. I'd headed straight to the coordinates of the facility. And as soon as I'd walked inside, you know, you'd sort of just wished you hadn't. Shivers are just going down my spine as I'm standing in this dark ambient facility with just hundreds of these containment units holding all these creatures. I mean, the things I'd seen, Joe, as I'd walked through these corridors, all these creatures that
I'd just been reading about were now staring me in the face. And as I proceed to walk down this sordid aisle of what I've once thought as myth, I look at each one of them as they stare back at me. I see the horrific two-horned devilish creature from Thomas's Encounter. I see a tall, slender, multi-eyed, almost human-like creature. And I remember trying to not hold eye contact for too long with them. As you could imagine, it was beyond bone-chilling. But I keep walking. I see this tall, white-furred creature that had looked so much more man than ape. I'd felt bad he was contained. As I kept walking, I'd seen dozens of these monstrous, man-like creatures that had stood upright. Then there were the aquatic phenomena. I'd seen a tentacled, ferocious shark-like creature with a horrific set of teeth, enormous spiders and serpents, some of which so big they'd had custom holding tanks, large-headed, tarantula-legged creatures. But as I'd gotten to the back of the facility, I see a huge grated door labeled "Do Not Open," and boy, do I wish I'd hadn't. But tired of the lies, I just wanted no stone unturned. And I scanned that key card once more, and I'd opened the door. As soon as I'd locked eyes with this creature, I came to the gut-wrenching realization of why he was in a secured unit.
What happened?
Joe, I couldn't move. I mean, I was physically frozen. I couldn't step closer if I wanted to. I was just locked into the gaze of this serpent-eyed creature with the scaled skin body of a man. It felt like it was inside my head. And as my breath patterns started changing and my body began taking uncontrollable steps in the other direction, I'd realized it had taken over my central nervous system. I'd tried to resist my body's movements, but this creature was operating through me. And I walked in trembling fear back through these corridors with no idea where I was headed, right up to a control panel that had been labeled Containment Unit Protocols, and fighting with every ounce of my being to stop it. My hand went straight to the emergency release button and pressed it. And I just heard the doors of all of these containment units open. As I'd realized, I just released hundreds of anomalous species into North American soil.
I'm surprised we didn't see no werewolf creatures in there, because I've seen one before, and I ain't shitting you.
He said there was a hairy, like, man creature, but it was really hairy.
Yeah, but they made it look like more like Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, look, me and my wife that died, we was coming through Grand Junction back towards Bloomingdale, and you got that big old dip right out of town there. I seen a big ass like werewolf run across the fucking road on all fours, and me and my wife argued for a couple years about what we seen.
The 600 meters of.
And then I know several other people that's seen that same creature. One over by Bangor, one over by Benton Harbor, and each time there have been 2 or 3 people that seen it. So they started explaining it, and I can finish explaining what it looks like to them. And they're like, "How'd you know?" I'm like, "Because I've seen it. It is essentially like a werewolf."
Yeah.
But
all right, so
Bush ain't
this
the only
one's,
one that's seen it.
this one, he almost tells us what the Navy saw while diving in the Arctic.
Most important point of all.
While it's true that still waters run deep, the weirdest things can be found in ocean waves. The waters of the Earth are undoubtedly huge and enigmatic. As a result, it is not surprising that when people have explored them, they have discovered some pretty bizarre things. Previous research has suggested that the watery depths below the Antarctic ice shelves are too cold and nutrient poor to sustain much life. However, a new study, revealed by Elon Musk, challenges researchers' understanding of the existence of life in extreme environments by exposing the discovery of a colony of animals on the seafloor. These animals aren't supposed to be alive there, and we have finally caught them on record. What exactly did researchers find in the far depths of the ocean? And why does this discovery have them scrambling for answers? Join us as we explore the impossible discovery made in the Arctic. A U.S. submarine made history in 1958 when it traveled beneath the ice to become the first craft to reach the North Pole. Scientists now have a whole new planet to investigate thanks to its mission. Nowadays, nuclear-powered submarines are stealthy weapons of destruction and deterrent that can travel with torpedoes and nuclear missiles for months at a time. For instance, the UK has consistently maintained at least one submarine with nuclear weapons at sea since 1969. The mission was also a scientific milestone that helped pave the way for a new era of exploration and discovery about the unusual environment beneath the Arctic ice. It served as a test bed for the military potential of nuclear submarines. Both the Navy and scientists get new knowledge about the Arctic Ocean and the environment in which they operate. With the use of submarines, we have access to a hostile environment that helps us comprehend both the present situation as well as the future state of the environment. Not only is Antarctica the coldest continent, but it also has the most mysteries to be revealed. There is still a treasure mine of strange and amazing anomalies beneath the ice and seas, just waiting to be uncovered, despite its isolation and ominous climate. Nothing is simple when you're in the midst of the...
Is it interesting or should we change it?
I'm interested.
All right, I still got to take a pause in there for copyright reasons.
Filchner Roan Ice Shelf, 5 hours flight from the closest outpost in Antarctica. Geologist James Smith of the British Antarctic Survey survived over 3 months of sub-zero temperatures, sleeping in a tent and eating dehydrated food despite the fact that it was the southern summer. He needed seafloor sediment, which was trapped under a half-mile of ice, to research the history of the floating shelf, but the science itself was a pain. Smith and his colleagues had to melt 20 tons of snow in order to produce 20,000 liters of hot water, which they then poured through a pipe lowered down a borehole in order to reach it. They had to chip away at the ice for 20 hours before they could ultimately break through the shelf. They then lowered a GoPro camera and a device to capture the sediment, but the collector returned empty-handed. They gave it another shot, still there. Again, nothing is simple in this situation. The instrument's round trips took an hour. Later that evening, Smith examined the video in his tent and noticed a very obvious issue. The video depicts a plunge through 3,000 feet of bluish-green ice that abruptly ends and gives way to the deep ocean. Before the seafloor, mostly light-colored silt, which Smith was after, something dark, can be seen in the coasts another 1,600 feet. That mysterious object turned out to be a boulder, which the camera captures as it falls face-first into the sediment. The camera rapidly corrects itself and scans the rock, exposing something completely unrelated to what the geologists were looking for. In actuality, it was something incredibly unlikely. They found life. There is only one large boulder in the center of the mostly level seafloor. It's not like the ocean floor is covered in debris of this nature. Just his luck, Smith chose the wrong spot to drill. Smith is not a biologist, but his British Antarctic Survey colleague Hugh Griffiths is. Griffiths saw a kind of film on the rock when he watched the video from the UK, which was probably a layer of microorganisms called a microbial mat. While sturdier, cylindrical sponges gripped the surface, a sponge that looked like an alien and other stalking animals hung from the rock, wispy filaments that may have been part of the bacterial mats, or even the strange hydroid animal dotted the rock. The nearest edge of the shelf, where the ice finishes and the open ocean begins, is 160 miles from the rock Smith unintentionally found. The closest place that might serve as a source of food is hundreds of miles away. This area would have sufficient sunshine to support an ecosystem and be in the appropriate position with respect to the rock for known currents to feed these organisms. As you get farther away from open sea and sunlight, all life becomes less abundant. According to current theories on what species could live beneath ice shelves, small mobile scavengers and predators such as fish, worms, jellyfish, or krill have been discovered in these settings in earlier investigations. However, it was anticipated that filter-feeding species, which depend on an outside source of food, would be among the first to submerge further.
Those fake ads really drive you mad, huh? The game looks so fun in the ads, but when you
It's not our place to tell life what to do, yet it has no business being here. It's not the most exciting looking rock if you don't know where it is, says Griffiths. Given that you are aware of it now, your jaw may be close to the floor at this moment. How did they get there is only one of the many questions that this find begs. What do they consume? They have been there for how long? How frequently do these covered boulders occur in nature? Are these the same species that we observe outside of the ice shelf, or are they a different species? And in the event that the ice shelf fell, what would happen to these communities? These species are definitely living in complete darkness, which is great because many deep-sea creatures also do the same thing. However, creatures that lead sessile, immobile lives on the deep-sea floor must rely on a reasonably constant source of food in the form of marine snow. Every living thing that is currently swimming in the water column above will eventually pass away and sink to the bottom of the ocean. Other animals pick at the bodies as they fall and begin to decay and spit off fragments, tiny bits that amass even on the deepest sea floors. This is effective in the majority of locations around Antarctica, where the seas are extremely productive. All species of fish, which in turn feed huge marine mammals like seals, are fed by tiny organisms known as plankton. All of this activity results in debris and dead creatures, which eventually turn into marine snow. However, the Antarctic animals that inhabit this particular rock don't reside beneath a busy water column. They are buried beneath a mile of thick ice. Moreover, they are unable to leave their rock in search of food. According to Griffiths, being something that's glued to the spot in a place where there isn't much food, and it is very sporadic, is the worst thing. Therefore, how on earth could they be feeding themselves? The food source is traveling horizontally rather than vertically, according to the researchers, who believe it is possible that the drift of this marine snow has been turned on its side. The researchers discovered that there are fruitful locations between 390 and 930 kilometers away after studying current charts near the drill site. Even while it might not be much, it's possible that hundreds of miles worth of organic material are traveling through these currents to support these animals. Given that marine snow formed at the surface must fall 7 miles to reach the seafloor in the deepest region of the ocean, the Challenger Deep near Guam, that distance is astounding. Food would have to travel up to 133 times that far, and it would have to do so by floating sideways to get to the animals on this Antarctic rock. According to Rich Mui, curator of invertebrate zoology and geology at the California Academy of Sciences, who has studied Antarctic sea life but wasn't involved in this new experiment, this isn't particularly far-fetched given what scientists know about currents surrounding Antarctica. Seawater in the area becomes denser as it cools. According to Mui, it descends to the ocean floor and radiates outward from the Antarctic. And many, if not virtually all, of the current systems in the world are actually derived from these currents. Something needs to fill the space left behind when that water flows outward. There's going to be some inflow to replace that, says Mui, and that inflow will carry organic matter even over hundreds of kilometers. This would provide sustenance for our life forms that were trapped on that boulder. Additionally, the currents could introduce...
But this brings me to my next point. Now you seen that round boulder, right? I just want
At Mint Mobile, we
get
like
on
to do
this
the opposite.
because I seen
of
that
what big
round
wireless
boulder,
does.
and I know you did.
They charge
too.
you a lot.
Okay.
Costa Rica is a beautiful country situated at the tip of South America. The country is full of unique wildlife and volcanic formations, and its people are among the happiest on Earth. It's a place known for its many unique archaeological sites, such as the ancient city of Guayapo, which was inhabited more than 3,000 years ago. The city was home to a now-lost culture with advanced development in civil engineering, architecture, and urbanism. As mysterious as it may seem, to this day, no one knows who this culture was, where they came from, and where they disappeared to. Unlike other pre-Columbian cities and cultures that were documented by early explorers, this culture disappeared a century before the arrival of the Spanish explorers, and no one knows why. The only reason we even know anything about them is because of the highly sophisticated aqueducts, water storage tanks, stone mounds, cobblestone roads, and various other structures left in the area. The aqueducts and water storage tanks were so well constructed that they still function today, thousands of years after their creation. And yet, as interesting and mysterious as this lost culture may be, its achievements still pale before those of another lost ancient civilization, one that left hundreds of enormous megalithic stone spheres discovered in various places around the country. Archaeologists are unsure of the original purpose behind these stone spheres and why so many of them were created. While some have suggested that the stone spheres were crafted by the pre-Columbian Diqui culture, which flourished during the 8th to 15th centuries, others deny these theories as the spheres are way too sophisticated in design, suggesting a far more ancient origin. Various alternative researchers believe that the megalithic stone spheres are the product of a now lost technologically advanced civilization, or even by ancient extraterrestrial visitors. It all started in 1940, when a contingency of workers clearing a thick portion of the forest in the Diqui Delta region of Costa Rica came across something fascinating. As the forest land was being cleared for a new plantation for the United Fruit Company, the workers came across some very unusual stone spheres. The stone spheres lay partially buried in the forest floor, and as the workers began to clear the thick grass and shrubs from around them, they were amazed to find there were a significant amount of these unique and out-of-place artifacts. Immediately, these megalithic spheres became the prized possession of many of Costa Rica's higher class. They were placed in front of government buildings, and various United Fruit executives even placed them in their homes. The revered anthropologist John Hoops has estimated that at least 300 of these stone spheres were discovered all across Costa Rica. While the spheres vary in size, the largest is approximately 8 feet in diameter and weighs 16 tons, whereas the smallest known sphere is no larger than a basketball. Unfortunately, many of the stone spheres were broken during their removal and transportation. Some were even blown up using dynamite during a time when their archaeological value was unrecognized. The impressive spheres are, in most cases, in an almost perfect spherical shape, which makes it unlikely that they are natural formations. Considering they were made from granodiorite, which is a considerably hard stone, researchers and archaeologists have a difficult time explaining how such huge spheres were carved out of the tough rock without any advanced technology. Experts have noticed that the monolithic stone spheres are up to 96% complexity spherical in some cases. How ancient peoples could have carved perfectly spherical rocks of this magnitude with primitive tools has perplexed archaeologists since the moment of their discovery. Many scientists agree on a rough timeline of 200 BC to 800 AD when it comes to the dating of the stone spheres.
Now, how the fuck did that fucking stone sphere get underneath that much fucking ice?
Unless
And
it
that
was
amount of
being traveled with and that was taken there and there was a crash or something. But then you'd see the crash site.
They could have rolled one out on an iceberg and it could have just fell off and sank before the ice cliff formed over there.
But
I
you
don't
heard
know.
that date.
8th to 15th century.
Right.
How can they even tell that?
Right. How do they even know?
How are you going to tell me something was from 700 to fucking...
Because how long it's been buried down into the dirt. How long it takes to get down into the math.
Oh, that makes me think back. You know how we were talking about the giant trees and how they cut down and they look like they go platforms now? I think the Grand Canyon was actually full of water.
It was.
I think the Grand Canyon was actually, there was a major river that ran through there.
Yeah,
that dried up.
There was a huge lake that fucking drained down. A freshwater ocean.
Water
out in the
carved it
desert.
out.
That's why you find the salt flats and shit.
Yep. I used to be into archaeology a lot. I used to like all these videos Ronnie's showing, even the other satanic ones and stuff. I've watched all this before.
Yeah, this is shit I've all watched too. Yeah. All right, I'm tired of doing that shit. It's dab time. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that one because, like, literally, what they said they were fucking looking for what was down there. You know what I'm saying? Like, they wanted some silt, but they just happened to be right over a fucking big old rock sphere. I'm like,
how he managed that.
Hey, I see it. Hey, fucking stone spear, you motherfuckers. You don't want to admit there was a fucking pyramid over there, but hey, I just seen a fucking stone spear, you son of a bitch.
Yep.
I've always wanted to go to Costa Rica, but I want to go out in the jungle part and find me a golden eyelash viper and bring it home. That's what I want
So you want to go? I want to go see the shit before they fucking destroy it.
Have you ever seen a golden eyelash viper though? They're
No,
so
I'm
pretty.
not into the snakes. You are there, Wilbur.
They're so pretty though, and you can find them in Costa Rica.
I'm good.
Right? He likes
That's
some
my dream
things that.
thing. I could buy one online and shit and go pick it up, but they're like fucking $600-$700, and that's not my dream. I want one, but that's not my dream. I want to get one from the wild. That would be my dream. And
I
bring
want
it
a
home
sloth.
and have the story about me going and finding it out in the jungle.
You know they're
and bringing it
mean,
home.
right?
What?
You know they're mean, right?
Yeah.
Eyelash vipers? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
No,
sloth?
I want to see about the sloth. She think it's all cuddly and shit. Oh, I gotta pee.
They also have very sharp claws. And the reason they go so slow so they can conserve energy, so when they actually need to react fast, they can.
Oh yeah, they can move.
I want a sloth.
I want a golden eyelash viper, but I want to go find my own in the jungle of Costa Rica.
What would be ideal would be to have a sloth that fits in my hand but doesn't get any bigger than that.
Kind of like a finger monkey, but a finger sloth.
Yeah.
I had finger monkeys before. I've actually had so many different animals you wouldn't even believe it. I even had a wallaby.
These are the first animals I've ever actually owned that were mine.
Well, before my wife Melissa passed away, we had our own exotic animal business.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's what I did for a living. She worked, but I did the exotic animal business for a living. That's so sweet.
Shut up.
I'm okay. Damn, don't yell at me.
This damn dog's whining at me again.
Oh.
Ronnie, quit whining.
He'll come out when he's done going potty.
I don't want to.
You gotta go potty, Ronnie. You gotta go potty.
Oh, that's out there. Go.
Good boy.
I thought he went in the bathroom or some shit because he was whining at me about the fucking bathroom.
I gotta have one more cigarette, then I gotta go do a bunch of cleaning here at work.
Yeah.
I don't feel like doing shit, man. I'm tired. Like, I'm sleepy ass tired.
Oh. Yeah, I just figured I'd start doing that shit there, you know, fucking draw some interest, keep people interested in some shit, maybe even teach them a little something. Fuck it.
I want to catch.
I think my goal is becoming to open people's eyes.
I want to hunt down or find that werewolf creature. Because even like a week after I seen it, I know it was staying in that swamp on 51st and a half for a while. Because a week after seeing it, we was out in the yard. It was dark as hell. And I don't know if you know who Nikisha Tidwell is.
Yeah.
She used to live where your mom lived. Down there.
Pullman Way?
Yeah. Anyway, she was over there to get some pit bull massive puppies from me. And you could hear this most god awful fucking noise out there in that woods. Like it made the hair on your neck stand up. Nikisha's like, I don't know what you white people got in these woods, but I'm getting the hell out of here. And I walked in the camper and they come back out with the 45. I'm like, you ain't got to worry. I said, let that creature come out here. I said, it's just a werewolf anyway, but let it come out here. I'm sure you don't got to have silver bullets to put it down.
Yeah.
And if you can
But
take its
yeah.
head off.
But that thing sounded crazy. Well, then after Melissa died, I was there with my baby mama and her friend, and we was on the other side of Benton Harbor, and we was having a bonfire and stuff. And then they started telling the story about when her husband was alive and blah blah blah. They were sitting there in the same place we are having a fire, and they started explaining this creature to come out of the woods, stood up on its hind legs, and looked at him for a while, then went back into the woods. They said they were so scared that they couldn't even fucking move. And they started explaining it, and I finished explaining it to them what they look like, what it looked like. And it's like, how'd you know? It's like, because me and my wife seen that run across the fucking road one time. Well, just not even a year ago when I was still working Cornerstone, Deanna and Autumn both showed up, freaked out at work where I was at. And I'm like, what's up? And they started explaining the creature they seen over by Bangor run across the road in front of them. And I finished explaining what it looked like. They're like, how'd you know? I'm like, because I've seen one. They're like, that was a fucking werewolf. I was like, I know. I've seen it. So that's 2 different groups, or 3 different groups of people I know that's seen this creature. Then my buddy Jay also told me stories about his buddies explaining that same creature to a few different people he knows. So there's been quite a few people that have seen them all the way from Benton Harbor through Bangor to Grand Junction.
I bet that's another thing DNR denies, like the cougars in Michigan.
Well, you know, if you look it up, we have a myth or whatever about the Wolfman in Allegan. Yeah, it looks like that, but longer, and on all fours, and more like the hair's a little shorter. It's long but shorter. You know what I mean? Like almost like, I don't know how to explain it.
There's a whole list of them. So.
And when I seen it go across the road, it wasn't running like this with all fours. It was like, so if the left side went, the left leg went at the same time. Front and right. The way it ran. So both legs on that same side moves at the same time. Instead of like this. You know what I mean? It was crazy. And it was so fast. And I also seen a cougar over there by Grand Junction too. It stole some of my fish. Twice.
Stole some of my fish.
Well, both times it stole the fish, I didn't see it. A week later, I kept trying to figure out how the hell does, you got grass behind you,
leaving in the crumbs.
and you wonder how the hell
But sometimes
some
there's
2 to 3
little things that
foot
shouldn't be
fish
in the photo.
just disappeared. You know what I mean? Right behind you, and you can't find them because you count them as you catch them. Me and my buddy's like, I know we had more than that, and blah blah blah. Well, the next day I had another one come up missing. So a week later, just a road over from there, I seen the cougar crouch down, and as I was coming down the hill, it stood back up and made about 3 bounds and was out of my sight. On the same creek, just the next road over.
This is Michigan, Will.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah, that was some clickbait.
You know them videos where you hear
Something up there on that hill.
Oh, still, it's right there. Look, it's right here.
Yeah, I see it.
It's right there. You see that? See the eyes, V? 2 ears.
Yeah, there they are. Thought so. Maybe that red one with the black face. No, looks like him.
Yeah, ear twitch.
Could be the one that run by too.
Oh, it's that ear over there. See the left ear twitching.
Alright, thank you.
He's moving too goddamn much.
He was
That's
moving
what
too
you
goddamn much. I agree with you. But I was watching that ear right there twitch. Let's go
Yeah.
back and watch again. Now pay attention.
It's hard for me to follow when he's moving so much.
All right, this ear right here. See the
Oh,
cursor?
I see it now. Yep.
Pay attention to that fucking ear. When he's actually holding it, still that big fool.
Yeah, there they are. Thought so. Maybe that red one with the black face. No, looks like him.
But ain't that an eerie feeling knowing there's like werewolves and shit out there?
Could be the one that run by too. Alright, thank you.
Jesus Christ, he moved too much.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you know them videos where you hear that god awful like screeching noise? Ah! And then you always see like the cop running away and shit. And the people running away. You know what makes that noise? That eerie ass sound? Mountain lions when they're about to breed. Look up the sound of mountain lions when they're about to breed, mating season. They sound freaking scary as hell.
Picture this. You're sitting at home alone watching YouTube videos, wondering why you can't find the motivation to do the things
Right there.
Huh.
Right there. You see the outline. Whether it's a cutout, don't know.
Well, considering it doesn't move as he moves, yeah, I think it's a cutout. Somebody was playing a trick on him.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that creature that was right there.
Oh, on that one?
The one right there, down one a little bit. Kind of like that one, but right there to the right, the one in the, yep, that one. Kind of look like that, but long and on all fours. Like really long. It definitely was no bear when I seen
In
go
the small
across.
Manistee County, Michigan,
It was
Grover
about 3
Childs
times
ventured
as
out
long
into
as
the
a bear.
snowy wilderness to take a peaceful walk. As he
But, like muscular.
spotted in the small town of Manistee County, Michigan, Grover Childs ventured out into the snowy wilderness to take a peaceful walk. As he trudged through the snow, he stumbled upon something remarkable: a frozen creature, half dog and half man, trapped in the icy blanket that covered the ground. Grover quickly pulled out his camera and took a short video in the snow, capturing the bizarre sight before him. He rushed back to town, his heart pounding in his chest. He alerted the authorities, sharing his discovery and the photograph as proof. They promised to investigate, but as the days passed, Grover heard nothing from them. The frozen dogman creature seemed to be a mystery that no one wanted to solve. Determined to find answers, Grover returned to the spot where he had found the creature. To his surprise, it was gone, leaving only a smooth patch of ice where it once lay. Grover wondered if it had thawed and escaped, or if someone had taken it away. He knew that the truth was out there, somewhere in the cold, snowy woods of Manistee County. In the small town of Manistee County, Michigan.
Ain't that some scary shit though, knowing that shit's out there?
Spotted a massive dog man, guys. Massive.
Yeah.
That's fake.
Hello, everybody. Bigfoot Mr. Rob on YouTube. Last Thursday, D.A. Roberts joined me. We talked werewolves versus Dogman. Great show. Don't forget to subscribe to Bigfoot Mr. Rob.
The first picture he snapped of this thing, he saw what it was. He could see it clearly. He could see it moving. And he thinks at first it didn't really know that he was there. Or if it did know that it was there, they were kind of sizing each other up. So he snapped the first picture he snapped of this.
He's a good boy. Yo!
Thing was about to go after his ass.
He's a good boy.
Wait.
Yo! Yo!
I thought she had a butt plug for it.
One of us speaks nothing but the truth, the other nothing but lies.
What the hell?
To me, it looks like an owl sitting up on a branch.
Say, bro. I leaned the gun up against the tire and I was throwing some stuff in the back seat, started it. That's when I looked up. And right kind of where that dark spot is off to the side. To the left or to the left? Yeah. That's where I seen it's like you see like yellowish orange eyes. What the hell is that? I turned and clicked the headlamp on. I have one that's one of those real like high lumen, like the lights they use for coon hunting. Yeah.
I'm gonna bail out, guys. I'm hungry.
Alright, man.
I couldn't see what it was on
What's
the
up?
ground. I was like, it's a bear.
What's
And
up?
The bear's done followed me out. He smelled the little Debbie's in the book bag.
Little
And then that's when I did, hey,
Little
get
Debbie's
out of
in the
here.
book bag.
And that's when it up on its back legs, and it was probably right about, I'd say anywhere from 7.5 foot up that tree. I leaned the gun up against the tire, and I was throwing.
One of the most famous dogman sightings comes from Michigan. The Michigan dogman was first reported in 1887 by two lumberjacks who described encountering a creature with the body of a man and the head of a dog. This initial sighting took place in Wexford County, and the story quickly spread, becoming part of local folklore. The legend was relatively obscure until 1987, when disc jockey Steve Cook recorded a song about the Michigan Dogman as an April Fool's joke. The song, titled The Legend, was intended as a fun prank, but took an unexpected turn when Cook received numerous calls from listeners claiming to have seen the creature themselves. One of the most famous Dogman sightings comes from Michigan.
The dense forests of Michigan, where tales of a creature with the body of a man and the head of a dog have spooked locals for centuries. From chilling encounters in the dead of night to startling sightings during daylight, the Michigan Dogman has left its mark on the imaginations of those brave enough to venture into the wild. While skeptics dismiss it as mere myth, the abundance of eyewitness accounts begs the question, could there be truth behind the legend? Armed with
I
cameras
wouldn't
and
believe it if somebody
curiosity,
just told me until I seen it.
cryptozoologists
You know what I
scour the
mean? Once
Michigan
I've seen it,
wilderness.
I know it's real because I've seen it. And I'm not one of them crazy people that act like they just seen something. You know what I mean? I actually seen the damn thing. And it fucking really makes me
Right.
think because look how many times I was out there coon hunting in the middle of the night or tracking deer in the middle of the night after shooting them. And, you know what I mean? I was in the dark all the time in them woods. Huh?
Right? Was you being stalked the whole time? You don't know it?
Right. And then even where I seen that thing run, I was doing a lot of coon trapping. I was living in that camper on 50 and the first and a half right there. That's the way it ran, was back towards the swamp behind my camper. So I used to do a bunch of trapping out there. I quit going out in that damn woods, man. I'll tell you what. And if I did, it was daytime and I had a gun. I'm not kidding, and usually I ain't scared of shit, but once you see the creature like that, it makes you think twice about going in the woods in the dark.
Yeah, it makes
By
you feel
yourself.
fucking very insignificant at that point. It's like,
I
oh
ain't scared
shit,
to
there's
go.
something.
I
Right,
ain't
there's
scared
something
to go
bigger
in the
than us.
woods, but I'm gonna have a gun. I'll tell you that. If you got me in the woods after dark, between coyotes, mountain lions, and werewolves, I'm having a fucking gun. And I think it's crazy to have to name off werewolves. Like, for real.
Yeah, that is crazy.
But yeah, man, have you ever heard the mating call of a mountain lion? Because if you watch a lot of these videos like we just watched, they show a bunch of people running because of this noise. And they make it sound like it's something from out of this world, but it's actually a mountain lion screeching.
Jesus.
Like if you watch them videos, that same sound, if you watch the mating calls of the mountain lion, that same sound is that sound. So it ain't something from out of this world. It's just a freaking mountain lion you're hearing. Yeah, I don't know. You know where Second Ave is, just by baseline there? That tube that runs through Second Ave right there? Off 51st and a half. Me and Richard was fishing there one day, and I caught quite a few skamania. He caught quite a few. We started grabbing them up, and we was like, what the hell? We should have like one or two more. Because I kept track of how many I caught. He kept track of how many he caught. They literally were laying in a bunch of brush behind us. So within like 10 feet, 5 feet, somewhere in there, 7 feet. And it would take a decent sized animal to pull a 2 foot to 2.5, 3 foot fucking fish out without making noise through all that brush. And it would have to be stealth like a cat. So it come up missing, and me and Richard couldn't figure it out. Well, the next day I had another one come up missing the same spot, because you're sitting there fishing, paying attention to your fishing. You're not paying attention to what's staying in behind you. So the next road over, down towards where Pork Chop used to live, that little tube right there, as I was coming down that hill right there, across the road there was a mountain lion. This was a week later. Crouched down, and I watched him jump, and he made a few bounds and was gone. So now I know what took my fish or rode over. That's not even a mile away. You know what I mean? That's what come up in there and took my fish 2 days in a row. That's an eerie feeling knowing you were standing there fishing and you had a cat that could jump on your back and bite your skull or neck and kill you in a matter of a second.
Lucky there was something smaller and easier for him to eat behind you.
Yeah, I'm glad to give him a fish. You know?
Right. Leave him alone.
Yeah, I'm glad to give away a fish if it saves my life. I'll share with the nature. I don't care. Especially if it don't want to attack me.
Right. Hell yeah. Shit, I'm gonna get my ass off here though. Been out for a while.
Alright, man. Peace.
Peace, brother. All right, everybody. Mad love. I'm out.